Hello, welcome to episode 1 of Everything Left, the exciting new podcast where we take a look at the week's news and current events and discuss the stories that everyone needs to know about and really dig deep to try and find the underlying issues. I'm your host, Amy Walker, and joining me for episode 1, I have Addie.
Hello.
And we've got Han.
Hello. Oh, that was a bit like a wiki shuffle hello.
Do you want me to do your bit again?
No, I don't give a shit. That's just a fucking hello, whatever.
Okay, thank you for joining me, guys. How are you doing today?
Nervous?
Amused.
So, first topic, should we do Michelle Rodriguez?
Yes. I have too much to say on it for it not to be first.
Well, for those people who might not know, the issue is the really unusually popular actress. I say unusually popular. She has a lot more of a beloved following than you'd think. Michelle Rodriguez, she's starring in a new film that was under the working title of Tomboy and is now called Reassignment with the RE in brackets, where she stars as a male assassin who gets captured by a rogue surgeon called the Doctor, played by Sigourney Weaver, and is forced to undergo gender reassignment and then goes on a revenge spree. So just based on that, what do you guys think of that as a synopsis for a film? Is it a good idea?
I think James Bond just winced at the name.
Well, from forced to undergo gender reassignment, I mean, you know, that's a fabulously good message that even that part, the fact that, you know, that's seen as the worst thing that a cis male could go through. And I do think that that's a very, very common thing with, I mean, you know, I'm not a cis dude, but fuck it, I'm going to speak for them. There's none on this podcast. Just, you know, I think that there's this big, like, you know, penis equals, and if you took their penis away, that seems like a fate worse than death to them, maybe. So I think a lot of cis dudes would be like, oh yeah, you know, if someone did that to me, I would definitely go on revenge.
Yeah, it's not very clear whether this character, I don't even know the name of the character, that's how much I care, is going revenge for having their reassignment, or if they were already after these people. It's kind of unclear if you know, why this is happening, but...
Well, considering that they're using the device of captured and reassigned against their will, you'd think that it would be revenge against the people who have done that to them against their will.
Mutilation is a great reason for revenge, obviously. The only thing that would make me agree with anyone considering revenge against someone who captured them and actually performed medical experiments on them was if they actually performed medical experiments on them.
Mm-hmm.
Reassigning someone's sex is not at all like experiment. It's painful. It's probably pretty traumatic for the person itself, but it's not a premise for a movie. It is someone just violating your body, but it's still not a good message to send to people.
No, yeah, I completely agree. It's not, I mean, yeah, it's sending a message. I think it's all, I mean, you could also argue that it's sending the message that nobody would want reassignment voluntarily. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
No, I don't think you are. There's a lot of issues around this film. The trans community in particular have not enjoyed anything they've heard about this film.
No shit.
Even before they changed it to an even worse title, even when it was called Tomboy and the initial premise came out, my reaction was, what the fuck? I don't get where along the lines they thought this would be a good idea.
Smoking something, eating a shroom.
I don't even think it's that. I think that to a lot of people who go and see action movies, who, you know, stereotyping here, white cis males between the ages of 20 and 40, then they will really get behind this premise and they will go, oh my God, I can't imagine a worse fate than being captured, being reassigned, and then, yeah, you know, this person has to get payback to the evil doctor that did that to him. and will continue to misgender them for the rest of their lives and go, oh yeah, it was amazing. He really got payback for the person that stole his penis. I think that narrative actually scarily will resonate with people. Not good people, but it will resonate with people.
To be honest, right now I'm imagining a heist and a thief trying to steal someone's penis.
That would be funny. I actually have the perfect song. There is a song and a music video accompanying it from the 80s, and this song is called Detachable Penis.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being the main theme for the film.
I kind of want to hear that song now. No, but the problem is a lot of times we see cis actors playing trans characters, and usually it's very problematic. Now, there are only a handful of times I actually think it's valid for the plot to actually do something like that. And I did find examples of it being valid to the plot. But usually the problem is that a lot of people in the industry do not treat people in the community, and even people in the community don't treat the trans community in the proper respect.
Yeah.
Because the default mode of a lot of people in the actual LGBT community is the point is that we belong in the community, so we can't actually hurt someone's feelings.
Even though the LGBT
people have
community
feelings and you're being a douche, you're gonna hurt their feelings.
Yeah. And historically, the LGBT community has been horrendous to the trans community as well. And in a way, it's worse because they've kind of chosen saying, oh, you know, we're part of the same community, therefore we can be horrible to you. And it's like, fuck you, no, you can't.
I'm an LGBT community friend. I'm bisexual. I do guys, I do girls. You can't really argue with me because I'm you.
It's something that is trotted out so many times, and it's something that Rodriguez is doing with this. She's coming in and saying, well, I'm bi, so I'm one of you guys, you know, I'm not offending you, get over it. The same thing was done, RuPaul was like, well, I'm a cross-dresser, so of course, you know, I can say the word tranny. John Barrowman was, I'm gay, so I can use the term tranny-tastic. It's like, no, you can't. Those...
It's Matt Baumer that said, I'm gay, I can play a woman, a transgender woman. And it's like, no, that's not how
it
works. That logic is flawed.
That logic sends the message, well, trans women are just gay men who want to dress up. And if that's all people are experiencing, if people's only experience with the trans community is film and TV and all they see is men playing trans women, that's what people are going to equate to it. And if it's gay men playing trans women, they're going to think, okay, so maybe trans women are just gay men. TV, film, it does inform a lot of people's opinions. So there's times where, ideally, you know, you should be casting trans women to play trans women, trans men to play trans men. If you can't, at least get someone of the gender this person identifies as and lives their life as to do it. Like, I never saw the show, but is it Ugly Betty? They had Mystique from X-Men. She played a trans woman. It's like, okay, a trans... That's it, Rebecca. Yeah. If you're going to have that role, ideally give it to a trans woman. If not, give it to a woman, because that's who this person is.
I read this really... I think maybe you linked me to it, Amy, this article that basically said that every time a man plays a trans woman, it's reinforcing the idea that trans is a performance.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons why I personally have a problem with things like Drag Race and a lot of cross-dressing things that have become so popular and so mainstream, because to me that just confuses an issue that a lot of people are confused about anyway when they see these guys who are doing it as a performance, not as a gender identity. And I think that those two things become conflated and joined in people's minds, that they don't really understand or maybe even care about the difference between transgender and transvestite.
I think the point of making it so mainstream and so popular is to make people feel good about themselves, like, oh, look at me, I'm so progressive, I accept this, but it is a form of entertainment. And it doesn't actually bring you out of your comfort zone as much as actually encountering trans people in your life, or actually seeing real trans people in real trans roles.
Absolutely. And that's why I thought that Orange is the New Black, I don't know if either of you have seen it, and they, you know, obviously there's a Laverne Cox in it, who she is just absolutely wonderful in the role, but They have actually started to bring in some transphobic storylines for her, and I thought that was, I mean, Orange is the New Black is an incredibly brave show anyway, but to actually highlight in a very personal way the struggle of a trans woman, I thought that was, that was brilliant, because again, that's quite a mainstream show, and it's going to actually resonate with people that don't know much about it in a very positive way rather than a negative way.
There's also the show on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix are like, way to go, Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix are awesome.
There's also Sense8 with,
Yes.
and Jamie Clayton plays there a character, Nomi, and she's a trans woman playing a trans woman, and they actually like talk about it during the show several times.
Yeah.
She goes with her girlfriend to Pride events in San Francisco, and someone says, "You're a man who's trying to steal lesbians." And then her girlfriend defends her, and she said, "That's the first time someone defends me for being the woman I am." And that was just so beautiful.
I think it helped with that show as well, the fact that it was written and directed by two trans women. It's, I think they made the effort to actually try and portray that a bit more, because even shows that do have a positive portrayal of trans women tend to skip over certain negative aspects, especially if it's showing a negative light on the rest of the LGBT community.
That every community has its bastards and its douchebags.
Yeah.
And no matter what we want to think about ourselves, just because we're part of a specific community doesn't make us
the same as.
It doesn't make whatever we say just automatically unhurtful.
Absolutely. Another good thing that Netflix have done. Let's just woo Netflix for a moment. They've just done a short series called The Get Down, which is all about 70s hip hop culture in New York. And one of the characters is played by Jaden Smith, and they are awesome in it. And it starts to kind of really examine queer culture in the 70s in New York as well, just as kind of like a side story, which was just really, really cool. I just like the fact that it's a story about a certain thing, but they want to really expand the universe and expand the characters and talk not just about hip hop, but talk about, the different sorts of people that were drawn to that culture and what else they did. And, it was fantastic. And exec produced by Baz Luhrmann as well. He's very cool.
There was a movie I watched a while ago, Boy Meets Girl. And it was just, it was, it was the rom-com love story. It's amazing because it actually shows that the main character is a transgender woman. And it shows that the guy falls in love with her, and it doesn't try and redefine his sexuality, because he's like, I'm hetero, I'm straight, I know that. And this is just, people try to talk about it and try to stand in their way, like, you're not really straight if you fall in love with her.
Yeah.
There was a whole storyline in that because she sort of has a relationship with this other girl, and it was her partner who was dead against trans people, and you found out it's because he had a thing with her at one point, and it was in his head, it's like, well, no, because if I have to acknowledge that does that not make me gay or bi because she's not a girl? Yeah, it was a really good film for looking at not just the trans character, but like the people around her and how they learnt to sort of how to define themselves, how to think about their sexuality. And initially I thought it was going to be one of those films that I could almost tell, it's like, okay, that guy's going to a douchebag, something nasty's going to happen, it's going to have a horrible ending. But in the end it was like, no, actually, he learnt to get over his shit and see that she's a real person, and quite sweet and touching, and it was really a really well made film. I don't know if anyone involved in the production other than the main actress was trans, but I wouldn't be surprised if they at least consulted with some actual trans people to tell a truer story than a lot of films would.
But yeah, I think the fact, getting back to Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes, that's No, we have to. I know we don't want to talk about her because she's horrible, but we have to. Yeah,
it irritated. I mean, I'm cis. I'm an ally, and it so much about the way she just, that little interview that I saw with her, where she was just like, well, she conflated transgender and heterosexuality.
Are they mad that somebody decided to take their branded transgender operation and use it on heterosexual people?
Then she talked about, a trans person wouldn't be bankable. And it's like, well, that's just that's rude.
For a transgender person to play that role, now you're talking about, is that person bankable? Are they going to sell the movie? Are they going to get the funding necessary? Banks want Instagram followers. Banks want an actor that can return money on investment. So try hiring a transgender actor today without having an artist director who, was able to find the funding for it. It's tough out there.
Not only that, that's going back to, sorry to interrupt, it's going back to stuff like, at some point in Hollywood they'd say, okay, we need a black character or an Asian character or a Native American character. Just put a white person in that role.
Oh yeah,
because,
absolutely.
A person of that race wouldn't be bankable.
No.
It's going back to a really, really backwards way of doing things. Like,
but they still do that in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I watched a film less than a month ago called Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, which was made by Robert Carlock and Tina Fey, who I respect, and it was based on a true story about a journalist who went over to Afghanistan, and all the people playing the major roles in Afghanistan were white people. The whole bankable argument, I mean, to me that just draws the line between people making art, and it's one of the reasons why I like Netflix, is the fact that, and HBO as well for the most part, is that they want to make good stories with good characters.
Yeah.
And that's their thing. Whereas Hollywood is still all about, they want to make money.
Yeah.
And they will make money in the easiest way possible.
But that's the point. Like, I studied film, and I have friends who studied film, and that's why I work with a lot of producers, and our generation is inching in, closing in on all the Hollywood big leagues, and you see more and more independent films who are actually trying to tell a really good story.
Absolutely, yeah.
And give real characters, and you just see them freaking out. And we are in an age that really wants to tell our own stories in a way that's not driven by how much money we can make, but how well we can tell a story. So I think that's one of the great things about my generation just moving in on it, because we want to tell the real stories. We're not here to make money, we're here to make genuine art. Mm-hmm.
And it's a testament to the fact that, as well, that technology is such that filmmakers can go out with little to no budget and really easy equipment to use and actually tell their stories. And
not
I
only
think
that, but we also have crowdfunding now.
Mm-hmm,
that means audiences who actually want a story can actually get that story. Mm-hmm. And we have web shows, so we can create something and upload it and still gain a bit of money out of it. But the reach of the internet now allows it to spread to so many places. So we can just spread our word and spread our stories. You see so many shows right now on the internet and on YouTube just telling queer stories because we're sick of seeing lesbians killed on TV. We're sick of the fact that people erase bi people, and the fact that trans people are played by cis, usually men, for some reason.
Yeah.
So we make our own things.
Yeah.
We upload it, we share it.
And there's a hope that as more people do that as well, that the stranglehold of Hollywood over the movie making machinery is going to actually, they're either going to realise that they're not making what people want anymore. It will become much more of a kind of cooperative, community based endeavour, that smaller filmmakers do get a chance to actually have the exposure that Hollywood takes for granted. 20 years ago, if you were, I can't really think of many, but it was always like, well, if you're gay in real life, you have to play a gay character because no one will ever believe that you can play straight. I don't know, but I'm assuming a lot of trans actors and actresses starting off are knocked back because, well, you can't play cis, you can only play trans.
Yeah.
It must be kind of on both sides of the coin. They're not making trans stories because there aren't enough. You hear this, there's hardly any trans actors and actresses. But are you actually giving young, talented trans people a chance to actually break into acting? Or are you cutting them off at the first hurdle?
Yeah, I actually want to check the net worth of Michelle Rodriguez versus Laverne Cox. She says it's not bankable because obviously we don't know of any trans actors whatsoever.
No.
Just anonymous people appearing on my screen. So why not just check the facts? There are ways now. It's like, who knows Michelle Rodriguez versus Jamie Clayton or Laverne Cox or whoever. and just see who actually recognizes her beyond being a douchebag.
In the same way, though, it seems that the whole premise of the movie, it doesn't give two shits about getting fans or getting viewers from the trans or from the queer community. It's set out to appeal to a demographic who aren't going to give two shit for the realism of the portrayal.
To be honest, I'm just imagining that we can screen a 90-minute series of explosions and no one would give a rat's ass.
Absolutely, yeah. That's who they're appealing to.
Yeah. It's a shame because, yeah, sometimes action movies are quite dumb and silly and there for shits and giggles and eating popcorn, but you can still make a good action film that doesn't have to stoop to the level of the shit that this film is doing.
Yeah, I mean, but is there also an argument to be made that if you were asked play that role, would you see that as a positive portrayal of a trans person, or would you be like, fuck no?
No, because that's the thing as well. It's not a trans role. This
No.
character isn't trans, and that's one of the things that Rodriguez went on about in an interview. It's like, oh, what makes someone trans? Is it in their mind? Is it the operation? Does that make someone trans? And it's like, well, no, because
No.
a lot of trans people don't go through that, whether it's for their own personal reasons, financially, they become comfortable in themselves, whatever reason, you don't have to have had a reassignment surgery to be trans, you don't have to be on hormones to be trans, you don't have to even change anything about yourself. If you feel you are trans and say you are trans.
Absolutely, and the fact that she's hiding under the umbrella of the LGBT community, and when she blatantly knows fuck all about trans people, from not even understanding what trans means. Oh!
It's kind of blatant, but I keep thinking about the dog analogy in the trans community. You know, when you go to a dog in the park and you say, oh, she's so cute, and the owner says it's male. So you automatically say, I'm so sorry, he's so cute.
You apologise to the dog for misgendering.
Except the trans community get told, no, you're wrong. It is the gender I said, even though you know more than me. It's very much...
That's exactly why it's such a stupid thing. It's like, I'm sorry, creature that does not understand almost anything I'm saying.
Shall we move off Michelle Rodriguez for now? I think we've spouted a bit of hate towards her, rightly so. But to move not too far away...
It's constructive criticism.
Yes, as in construct a little box around her and never let her out.
It would be Schrodinger's Rodriguez.
Is she alive? Is she dead? Does anyone care?
Oh, and there's the episode title.
Is she dead? Is she a douchebox?
Moving slightly away, but staying on the LGBT area, something that I saw earlier today, I don't know if you guys have seen it, the first member of the royal family has come out as LGBT.
If I was British,
Is it
I
the Queen?
would say...
Is the Queen a lesbian?
No, she's a lizard, Hannah. Lizard.
Oh shit! I always get those two confused.
No, it's...
I was gonna make some really bad joke about tongues then, but I didn't.
Sorry, there is a species of lesbian lizard, so we don't know shit.
Oh.
There is.
That's fucking awesome.
It's a species that's entirely female, and they still reproduce in a heterosexual way. So it's an actual species that is entirely lesbian.
Cool.
So, lesbian lizard.
Lesbian lizard.
So, obviously, if I was British, I would have been thrilled, but considering the fact that you guys left the country in the 1940s, I don't care about your royal family.
No, hang on a
I'm
minute.
pretty sure most of you don't care about it.
Yeah.
No, I'm a staunch fucking Republican.
Oh, definitely,
I don't
definitely.
give a shit about the royal family. Again, but anything that, if some of these Brexiteers and Britain First and all those twats, it's one of those things, isn't it, that a lot of people don't change their views until it affects them personally. So somebody with such a large public profile to such a right-wing community in the country might actually, fingers crossed, might have a positive impact. I doubt it, but it might.
Or it would create an amazing amount of backlash, and many people will start flinging shit at the royal family, which probably would be very odd because it would be the other side of the political spectrum now.
I don't think it's going to make a great deal of difference. The actual member of the royal family, he's Lord Ivor Mountbatten, who's a cousin to the Queen, so he's not someone in the main limelight. But any sort of way that the royal family is starting to address LGBT issues or anything like that is a good thing. It's one of the areas they've really shied away from in the past, and it's following a good trend. Like, I don't know if you guys saw recently, Prince Harry went along and got himself tested for HIV and had it filmed and broadcast because he wants to try and combat the stigma around HIV and make it more acceptable. But whether you're a royalist or not, if it's coming from that high up in top of the country, I think it's sending a positive message, and it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that the Queen's going to make a statement supporting him, because that's going to get big play.
No, I think the new generation, the latest even not the latest, because now they have 2 newer members. So I think the generation before the last of the royal family actually are a good impact and try and use what they have in a positive way.
And I think in general, like, if you do speak to people, you know, kind of teenagers now, or at least a lot of teenagers, then sexuality and gender is already becoming less of an issue, in the sense that it's like, it's not a big thing if they know gay or trans people at school. People are slowly becoming far more comfortable with trans and queer people and gender fluid, and just saying people are people.
I think it's because the last generation, well, the one that's actually just finishing high school, well, not even that, they're still too young, but the generation before that started growing up when the internet grew up, when it started spreading. So to begin with, our generation and the generation after just grew up with an explosion of information. So that allowed it to create a more safe environment. Obviously not perfect, because the problems with homophobia and transphobia and all the other forms of hate are ridiculous right now. But the point is that more access to information allows for a more tolerable place, more tolerable community. So it is a good thing that access to information.
I don't know how old you are, Addie, but, you know, I grew up, the internet didn't really come along till I was kind of 14, 15. So they say babies aren't born racist, homophobic, transphobic. It's learnt behaviour from their upbringing. And I think that people now don't just have access to their parents' views. They have access, they can find their own way and find the knowledge on their own. And that's why the internet can be such a powerful force for good, because it can actually tell people, do you know what? Perhaps what your parents are saying isn't right. Perhaps you need to check out these alternate points of view. And also it enables people to find communities of like-minded people and find communities, if they're struggling with things, you have a community that you can actually reach out to and say, I'm going through this, I don't understand what's happening. And you can have thousands of people turn around and go, me too, which is, again, a very positive thing. Makes people realise that we're all individual, but there are so many common struggles to humanity.
It also allows to people in a very tight spot, like people who can't come out to their parents, to find a place to vent, to learn that it does get better. You leave your house, you can be who you are, and you don't have to be in that dark place.
Yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for the internet, I don't know if I'd have figured out that I was trans, or if I did, it probably wouldn't have been when I did. And having that ability to go out there and find that information and people who are going through it, I couldn't have done it without that. And it is making a big difference to a lot of people.
But then there is the downside of that in the fact that there are now controls that are on the internet in this country, and the fact that some internet providers can block all quote-unquote adult content from the actual router. It's not like a net nanny system. It is blocked before it even gets to the computers, and that can unfortunately block avenues of support.
Yes, because certain companies see stuff like forums and support groups and things for the LGBT community being adult content, which How is that adult content?
Because I've actually just given somebody instructions on how to add certain sites so that a young person has access to avenues of support and avenues of information. That's all I can really say, but I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm saying. But you have to go in and kind of do it manually.
But it kind of defies the point of the net being a free place, especially considering the fact that we're talking about democratic countries,
Mm-hmm.
that is like the biggest irony ever, because the point of preventing people from accessing information they have every right to just because a person in a company decided it goes against their belief or religion or whatever is that's not your decision. That's not the company's decision. That is my decision because you provide a service to me, so I get to choose.
Yeah, and if it can actually end up doing actual harm to people because of that decision, then that definitely needs to be re-examined. Especially because the whole justification for this whole bullshit British net crackdown was to stop paedophilia, which is, you know, it's not like you can go on Google and search for kiddie porn, but that was the justification that our twat of a Prime Minister gave for bringing all these things in. And of course, like most people who don't actually know how the internet works, they were like, oh, well, that's obviously a great thing. We don't want paedophiles looking at pictures of kiddie porn. But it's like, but that's not how it works. You blocking searches from Google does not stop paedophiles looking at kiddie porn. I'm sorry, it doesn't. All you're doing is stopping grown people the opportunity to look at pornography if they want to, and young people getting access to support if they need it. That's basically all you've done.
And it's going to do nothing to stop the issue they had to begin with. It makes no sense, but it being a Tory policy, I wouldn't be surprised if it's more about the money that was changing hands and doing business, because, let's be honest, they hate everyone and they're just after lining their own pockets.
Well, that's because the point of considerably old people that don't understand technology and how it works making decisions about technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like bringing a philosopher to be the head of the finance department.
Or letting people over 60 vote in the UK referendum, because those are the people that fucked us.
Or as Theresa May, our lovely unelected Prime Minister, did recently, putting someone who believes global warming to be a conspiracy theory in charge of the Environment Agency.
Yep.
It's like, that makes sense.
Isn't our inclusivity minister also anti-gay marriage as well? Just to really, you know...
Yeah, but to be fair, our last equalities minister also voted against gay marriage because it went against her religious beliefs, so there's nothing new there.
Isn't the guy in charge of foreign affairs?
Oh, God. Yes, Boris Johnson.
I'm sorry, it's like someone created a British Donald Trump.
I can see where they're coming from. Oh, he's had lots of interactions with people from all over the world and all, you know.
Pissed off everyone.
But it's like, yes, but those interactions of him being a racist, bigoted idiot, that's not what you want representing our country. Like, his first press conference, it was his first thing he did in that new role.
Kerry?
Was it, sorry?
John Kerry.
Yes,
John Kerry.
yes, John Kerry. It was his first thing in his new position, and the press didn't care about anything other than saying, why are you fit for this role? You've insulted people all over the world. Aren't you an idiot? Why are you in this position? And it turned into a shambles, and that's to be expected when you put someone like that in that kind of role. It's like saying, got a new kindergarten teacher, please welcome Mr. Kruger. It's like, what are you doing?
To be fair,
his DBS was clear. He has never been convicted.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he was only against high schoolers. He never actually harmed children.
That's true.
Well, not in the dream world, but he touched them in the real world.
And if you watch Rick and Morty, it gives you an entirely different perspective on Freddy Krueger.
Fair enough. I feel like we've maybe badmouthed Freddy Krueger a bit.
Yeah.
Undeservedly.
Yeah.
We're gonna get
Boris Johnson, on the other hand, no, he can take it. But Freddy, sorry, Freddy.
No, because compared to Freddy Krueger, Boris Johnson has actually been proven to be shit at his job. And Freddy Krueger was actually a really good janitor. I mean, obviously he turned into a homicidal maniac, but he was still a really good janitor.
Yeah, so I hope you feel bad now, Amy.
I feel we're going to have to release an official apology to Fred Krueger.
And his family.
And Wes Craven.
Yes, okay, the list of official apologies is already longer than I wanted for the first episode. But...
Okay, your Ouija board, we're going to send Wes Craven an apology right now.
Is he dead?
Oh God, Hannah, this is a news and current events show.
When did he die?
Yeah!
Okay, that totally missed me. That
Clearly.
Shit. I wasn't really a big fan. Sorry, Wes. Didn't really impact my life.
Man, this man impacted the movie industry. bad guy.
Clearly did not impact Hannah's...
No.
It's kind of like not knowing who Hitchcock or Chaplin are.
No, to be fair, she knows who he is. She just didn't
Yeah,
know
no, I've heard of
his
him.
living
I do
status.
I do sometimes get him
Or
confused
his
with Wes
unliving
Anderson.
status.
I do sometimes get confused with Wes Anderson as well.
No, Wes Anderson is the weirdo, not the genius.
I like the weirdo.
I don't know what to say anymore. I think you've kind of scrambled my head.
That's what Freddy Krueger does.
I'm going to send you a link after this, Hannah. A very important one. The list of all the celebrities we've lost this year.
Oh, I know about most of them.
Are you sure?
I didn't know about Gary Shandling until a few days ago, but I think I know the important ones anyway.
Okay. Are you
Name
sure?
3.
Are you gonna quiz? Okay, right. Well, Alan Rickman, David Bowie, Terry Wogan. Fuck, who else? We've lost so many people this year.
Yeah,
Oh,
this year was shit.
I tried.
Prince, we lost Prince. Come on, stay with the program.
Shit! Yes, we lost Prince. That was quite upsetting. He was awesome.
So welcome
Ronnie
to the show,
Corbett?
The Report.
Oh, I don't give a shit about him.
Paul Daniels.
Meh,
David Guest.
meh.
Yeah. Victoria Wood.
What?
So, oh my god, you didn't know Victoria Wood was
I
dead?
did not know Victoria Wood died. When did she die?
Months ago.
Hang on though. In my defence, right? Okay, extreme defence. I have had a bit of a rough year, and I haven't been on the internet very much because I've been isolating myself and getting better.
Okay.
So,
And this is where we drive you back away because you find out all these beloved people are dead.
so if it happens between like January and June, I'm like, yeah, no, I was ill. Fuck you.
Okay, a recent one then for you. Gene Wilder, did you know about him?
I did know about him.
Okay. What
Sad
about
about
Muhammad Ali?
Yes, I knew about that.
Okay.
Sad about that.
Okay, so you're okay with the recent ones? It's just the older
Yeah,
ones.
and obviously I heard about Alan Rickman and David Bowie.
About Terry Wogan. Did you hear about him?
Yeah, I said Terry Wogan.
You did.
Because I hated Terry Wogan.
So that was a nice one for you. Bonus.
No, I don't wish anyone was dead. I'm quite sad about Victoria Wood though. I might have to go and have a little cry. This is how bad I am that one of my friend's brother-in-laws died last year and I didn't know.
Wow.
I'm just imagining you coming over to a person's house and then it's like, sorry, buddy, I haven't talked to you in the last few months. Like, dude, he's dead.
Don't even laugh because like if I text somebody or I email somebody and they don't reply within a day, I pretty much assume they're dead. And I also worry because like so many of my friends, I don't really know like their families. That it's like, well, if they did die, who would tell me? Who would let me know?
Their Facebook statuses.
Well, no, these not even loads of my friends aren't on Facebook either.
What is wrong with your generation?
Wow, oh, thank you. I mean, I know I am, but thanks for that.
I'm just sick of the fact that people constantly are like, what is wrong with your generation? It's like, you? So I want to flip it out on someone for once.
Talking about deaths this year, and another story that I stumbled across today, which it starts off as a bad thing. Obviously, you know, I don't have to go into too much explanation when I say the Orlando shooting. You know, you guys are going to be aware of that, and people listening, it's obviously a horrific tragedy. There's no other words for it other than monstrous, but a little sliver of good connected to that loss of life was a American pastor called Stephen Anderson, who's been very vocal about the incident, saying that it's a great thing, saying that there's now 50 less paedophiles in the world, wishing...
This is the guy that prayed for an AIDS-free Christmas, didn't he?
Yeah, prayed to God to kill Caitlyn Jenner by ripping her heart out. All these lovely anti-LGBT things. He's tried to pass through the UK on his way to Africa to help them get rid of the gays, and the UK just turned around and went, no, you're not coming into our country ever. Even to pass through, he's very distraught that he's now banned from the UK for saying these horrific things.
He's actually banned from South Africa as well.
Yes, he had to find another way of getting to his destination because
and
he
then
couldn't go there.
and then he did, like, you know, the entitled male thing. Oh, I'm going to South Africa. They don't want me. Oh, I didn't want to go there anyway.
Yes.
But, you know, there is part of me that's like, okay, well, that was quite an easy thing for the British authorities to do, to say we don't want people who openly preach hate on our soil. But then how many, like, was it 500,000 people signed that we don't want Donald Trump on our soil? And they did fuck all about it.
Yes.
Because, well, hang on, what's the difference? Hang on a minute. Donald Trump has that thing. What's that thing? Money. That's it. Money.
I just keep thinking about the fact that there are people who actually agree with these opinions that are based completely on hatred and stupidity.
Okay, so we're going to bring this first episode to an end. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to episode 1, Schrodingers, Rodriguez, and Lesbian Lizards. A phrase that I never thought I'd say, but I'm going to use quite frequently now. Thank you guys for helping me come up with that one. That's goodbye from me, Addie, Han.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
If I do a movie, I would never do a movie with the intention of offending anybody in the LGBT community because I'm a part of it. So they can't say shit to me.
I'm living in a